it's Marley from the Energy Boutique with your energy forecast for Saturday, October 29th. So today we have a pretty busy day in the cosmos, 14 different aspects here today. 9 of them involve the moon, and outside of the moon's energy, we have Mercury making a couple of aspects before jumping out of Libran energy and jumping into Scorpio. We also have Venus and the Sun moving through Scorpio energy, making some very important aspects in order for us to peel back the layers of truth, the layers of passion, the layers of desire, and of course, the layers of the shadow realm where our deepest, darkest fears, doubts, and insecurities are just creeping under the unconscious surface, preventing us from actually going after what it is that we desire to pursue. So there's a lot of energy here today. The moon is in Sagittarius, however, will be going void, of course, at 9:11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's only void for 11 minutes. We lock into Capricorn energy at 9:22 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And anytime we are moving from Sagittarius energy to Capricorn energy, we kind of feel like we're being brought down to earth. You know, we're flying high in Sagittarian energy. Everything is big, everything is grand, everything is optimistic and hopeful and positive. We're acting as the observer. We're really kind of just, initiating a brand new perspective from our higher selves in that Sagittarian energy. When we move out of this fiery Sagittarian energy into the Capricorn energy, well, we kind of get splat down back on Earth. Capricorn energy, being in Earth energy, is low and slow. It is logical and practical. It does not really care about the past, does not really care about the future. It cares about the here and now. It cares about the to-do list here and now. It cares about what it is that we have to do in the here and now in order to clean the slate for us to actually think about the future. There's a sense of responsibility that comes with this Capricorn energy. Of course, as Saturn, the Lord of Karma, as its ruler, we do kind of, need to kind of zoom in on what needs to be done, what commitments we've made, what obligations we have, where it is that we have to operate from a grounded, logical, practical approach in order to clean up our situation in the here and now, and again, provide ourselves with a clean slate and organized fashion, if you will, with the to-do list of moving forward towards our long-term goals. So we do have that shift taking place. I just want to throw out there, Capricorn energy, although it gets a bad rap because, kind of nitty-gritty, kind of roles and responsibilities, kind of sucks the fun out of things. Capricorn energy is like the general foreman of the zodiac. There's a lot of wisdom, a lot of knowledge, but we ain't messing around. We have to be very serious about what it is that we need to do in our lives to clean up elements of the past and prepare ourselves to pursue new passions, new paths, moving forward into the future. Capricorn energy is the manifester of the zodiac. It's where we bring things to life. It's where we take charge here in the physical realm. So although it gets a bad rap because it does kind of, it's more work than it is play, it's a very essential energy for us to be tapping into, especially at this particular point of view, this particular point of season, being in eclipse season, being in Scorpio season. It's very important to stay grounded, to stay kind of focused on what it is that the here and now requires of us before we can go ahead and start building new systems, new foundations, new structures for us to pursue in the future. Capricorn energy and Scorpio energy get along very, very well. So this is going to be, I'm going to say, a favorable moon phase for us here in Scorpio season to kind of get a little bit grounded, especially trying to navigate some of the very intense emotions that have been triggered and activated for us since Scorpio season has began. So, like I said, 14 different aspects, meaning it's a very, very busy day in the cosmos, 9 of them involving the moon. Before the moon gets any kind of action, though, we have Mercury in its final degrees of Libra, interacting in a very positive way with Neptune. So Mercury rules over the mental plane, rules over information, communication, and how it is that we express ourselves. In this Libran energy, we're really trying to meet ourselves in the middle here. We've been debating the pros and cons, the ups and downs, the goods and bads of all the decisions, the choices, the path, the directions that have been thrown at us for options. We've been very indecisive. We've been able to see the pros and cons on both sides of the coin. And hopefully we are coming to some kind of solution, some kind of resolution, some kind of committed idea, path, decision, direction. Neptune is about our soul self, our intuition, our spirituality. It's about our dreams, our vision, what it is that we're being called to do outside of the realm of our physical senses. So, anytime that you get downloaded with an idea, with a vision, with a dream, with an inspiration, that is Neptune energy. It's coming from a higher source than our egoic mentality, our egoic intellect. It's coming from the higher realms, our higher self of inspiration. And Neptune is retrograde in Pisces energy. Pisces energy is its place of power. We have been having to review and re-edit our dreams, our vision, our goals, if you will, mostly because we've had some pretty intense karmic situations throw a wrench into our plans. And this particular interaction is a good one because it means that we're receiving higher forms of information from our higher selves, from the higher levels of intellect out there in the cosmos. So like the collective consciousness, if you will. And what this means is that we could have a super good idea. We could gain a little bit of a vision on what it is that we want to pursue. Our intuition is very strong at this point. We are connected to all the different forms of intelligence outside of ourselves, outside of our physical realm. And the beauty of what Neptune and Mercury bring to us when they interact in a very beautiful way is the ability to bring these, sudden dreams, sudden visions, sudden ideas, sudden aha moments into the actual egoic mental plane where we realize this, where there's an awareness about it. And then we kind of, apply logic and practicality to that. We start planning. We start kind of saying, okay, what can we do to bring these elements to life? How can I use my intuition and my intellect in order to create something new? We are in a transformative time. We are in a rebirthing process. This is what Scorpio season is all about. So this is actually a beautiful energy that is going to give us a beautiful opportunity to kind of align with our higher selves and bring forth new visuals, new inspirations, new dreams, new goals that we can actually bring in to the lower level intellect that Mercury rules over, kind of weigh the pros and cons. We're still in Libran energy, so we have to weigh things out, make sure those scales are balanced, and then start actively planning how it is that we're going to manifest some of these elements that have now been downloaded within us. The moon is going to oppose. Now, keep in mind, the moon at this point is still in Sagittarius energy, still in its direct form. So it hasn't gone void, of course. We're talking 2:00 in the morning at AM, Eastern Standard Time here. So the moon in Sag is sitting directly across from opposing Mars, who is in Gemini energy, preparing to go retrograde. So the Gemini and Sagittarius axis is about information and beliefs. Gemini energy rules over the lower level intellect. It is where we're very divided, where we see opposing ideas, dualistic ideas come together, and we kind of debate things out in order to find a happy medium. The Sagittarian energy is our belief system, our spirituality, our philosophical points of views and perspectives. It's where we can act as the observer. And what we know when the Sagittarius and Gemini axis is activated is that there's new information coming into our physical realms that essentially is going to change our overall belief system, our faith, and what it is that we know to be true. The moon being in Sagittarius, again, has us a little bit hopeful, a little bit wishful. We are kind of biting off more than we can chew. We're conjuring up this great grand vision, this great grand dream that is probably over exaggerated, but that's okay. We're going to refine that when we move into Capricorn energy. And Mars, who rules over our physical energy, our drive, our passion, our desire, even our anger, is slowing down because he's about to go retrograde. And he's in this Gemini energy, really trying to debate where it is that he should be pouring his energy, how to manage his energy, what ideas he should be pursuing, where it is that he's kind of frustrated and agitated from running into mental blocks. And so what we can get from this little opposition, from this conflict, is we might find ourselves enraged. We're in Scorpio season, so all of our emotions are super intense, super passionate. We're definitely dabbling in the darker side of our thoughts and our emotions. And what I want you to understand is that rage and anger and frustration and agitation are emotions that let us know what needs to change in our lives the quickest, the fastest, what needs our attention now. Why? Because that frustration, that agitation is letting us know that something's not right. We're not in alignment. Something isn't working. I'm not at peace. I got to take action. I got to make a move. I got to do something in order to balance the scales within my life so that I don't feel this way. And it never feels good. There's a lot of mental processing going on. There's a lot of mental blockages going on. There's a lot of want, need, and desire to take action in our physical realm in order to pursue new passions and desires. But we're also being blocked from doing that because we're in eclipse season as well. So this is creating a lot of agitation, if you will, a lot of restlessness, a lot of ants in our pants. We have a lot of pressure in our heads, but we have a lot of, I'm going to say, excess energy building up in our physical bodies as well. Anytime Mars is coming into play, you always want to engage your physical body in exercise or in physical activities that will give you a healthy outlet to channel some of this overwhelming, intense, passionate, agitated type of energies. The moon is going to go ahead and bump into Pluto in such a way that would provide us with an opportunity in our physical realms to see front row and center what it is that is absolutely pushing us to a breaking point. Why? Because we have to take a look at the bad in order to realize what it is that we have to switch up and change up in order to turn that bad into good. We have to take a good look at what is triggering our pain, our trauma, our suffering, in order to turn that into power, into harmony, into empowerment. This is Pluto's whole deal. Pluto rules over Scorpio season, so he's in his place of power. And he's trying to show us where it is that a great transformation is needed, where it is that we have to put an ending to something, a closure to something, a death to something, in order for there to be a clean slate for us to resurrect our energies, resurrect certain topics and themes, certain elements in our lives, breathe new life into them in order for a true transformation to actually take place. But the way that this situation between the moon and Pluto is taking place, there's likely going to be a trigger and an activation in our exterior realm that we have no control over, that needs to trigger us, that needs to activate us, that needs to remind us of what it is that isn't working in our lives and what it is that we desperately need to change in our lives in order to achieve a certain reality, a certain situation, a certain sense of peace in our lives. There is a huge, well, let's just bring it back for a second. Pluto has been and currently still is in Capricorn energy in the final degrees of it. There's been a huge destruction of systems and foundations, the greater, grander governing systems on the collective stage, such as banks and government and healthcare and yada, yada, yada. In our own lives, we are seeing where it is that we've given our power away. So much so in the past that we've made other people the starring roles of the movie that is supposed to be us. And that's what Pluto's retrograde was all about for the past 5 months. He is now direct, still creeping, still not even close to being up to his speed in Capricorn energy. So this is almost like the trigger, the activation that is coming at us from the outside realm is saying, okay, are you going to boss up and take the power and control over this situation? Or are you going to let somebody else dictate how this is going to roll, how this is going to end? And because the moon is in Sagittarius, we are able to see the greater, grander lesson that is emerging from some of these situations that are popping off in our physical reality. The interaction between the moon and Pluto is a learning opportunity. It's an opportunity for us to see what it is that we would have done in the past and what it is that we should be doing in the here and now in order to not repeat those same patterns and behaviors as we move into the future. The sun is going to make a positive interaction with Jupiter, who is now at the final degrees of Pisces energy. He's still retrograde, but yesterday we had Jupiter, the planet of growth, expansion, luck, abundance, blessings, go from the Aries energy back into the Pisces energy. So this is kind of like a refresher, a reconnection, if you will. It kind of repeats some of the patterns and behaviors, the topics and themes that we were kind of immersed in March and April of this year. And what's a beautiful thing here is that the sun in Scorpio, water energy, is harmonizing, blending its power, blending its abilities with Jupiter, who is retrograde in Pisces energy, a water energy. So we got some water on water here. What do we know about water? Well, it's emotional, it's intuitive, it's deeply transformative, and we kind of have to start with the not so nice thoughts and feelings in order to acknowledge them, bring them into our consciousness. Then we get to kind of sit with it, transform them, think of different, perspectives, think of different ways to kind of morph those emotions, cleansing ourselves from the darker perspective, the darker emotions, the darker thoughts. And when we cleanse ourselves of the darker funk, we are left with an empowerment energy. So here's the thing. The sun is shining a bright light on what it is that we desire. That's what Scorpio energy is about. We need to identify what we're passionate about, what we actually desire. Now, that's step one. Step two is recognizing what kind of shadow elements, fears, doubts, insecurities are blocking us from actually pursuing what it is that we desire. Again, shadow work. It's examining that shadow work, and it's recognizing where it is that we can rewrite the script in order to turn that pain into a source of power, in order to turn that darkness into a source of light, in order to take that funk and turn it into a platform of empowerment for us to actually break free of the construct of the shadow self and actually align ourselves to pursue our passion, our dreams, our desires. So that's what the sun is trying to shine a bright light on. And a huge transformation of self needs to happen in order for us to be bold and brave and courageous enough to face the darkest parts of ourselves and put them on the right side of our energy so that we can use that as motivation and inspiration to kind of bust through those challenges, bust through those obstacles so that we can get to where it is that our soul desires us to be. That's the sun's job. We are taking Jupiter, who magnifies, turns the volume all the way up on what it is that we want more of. Well, when we sit down and we think of what it is that we want more in our lives, well, that becomes a desire, does it not? If we want more stability, if we want more money, if we want more love, more affection, more connection, more intimacy, everything that we identify that we want more of is identifying a new desire that our soul wants us to pursue. So Jupiter is illuminating for us, now that he's in Pisces energy, from a soul level, what it is that our soul is lacking, right? And in this Pisces energy, it is time for us to kind of reflect, right? We're in a retrograde, so we're reflecting, we're revising our dreams, we're reconnecting to our higher selves, our intuition, our spiritual selves. We are redefining what it is that we actually dream about, what it is we desire to actually manifest. And we are essentially reorganizing our belief system within ourselves, within the greater, grander plan of the universe, so that we can cut the crap, cut the bullshit with all the limiting beliefs of our fears, our insecurities, our doubts that hold us back from actually pursuing our wants, our needs, our desires. This is a positive energy. This is an empowerment type of energy. We are going to realize a lot. We are going to boss up a lot in our emotions, in our inner realm. We are going to redefine a lot. And we are going to use this as inspiration and motivation, holding this dream, this vision, this emotion, this feeling so freaking strongly in our mind's eye and in our heart space that when things get bumpy and things get choppy, and they will, because we're in Scorpio season where we go from one extreme to the next, we hold on to this dream and vision to get through the not so nice parts of the exploration of our inner realm so that we can cut the crap with the old version of ourselves, with the old belief system that we had, and essentially transform and alchemize ourselves into a brand new version 2.0 of ourselves, which is what Scorpio season is all about, so that we can give birth to a new version of ourselves and actually be in touch with our soul self, that Pisces energy. And then we can tackle what it is that we want more of, what it is that we're dreaming about, what it is that we actually are passionate about, what it is that we actually desire. The moon is going to go ahead at 6:37 a.m., bump into the true node, and not the nicest way. And let me just say that this is adding a little bit of confusion on the plan that we have to make in order to get to where it is that we desire to be. So here it is. We had all these passions, all these desires, all these realizations of what it is that we want more of. And now we're sitting there, we're overthinking. We have no clue how we're going to get there. Now we're letting our intellect just kind of, speak fear into everything that we just knew to be true, that we just felt inspired to pursue. Now we're sitting here and we're like, well, how are we going to grow past this now? How are we going to improve my life in order to get on the path that I need to be in order to go after these new passions and desires? What's the first step? Where do I even start? This is the questioning period. Like I said, this is the questioning period that suddenly we don't have the confidence, we don't have the optimism that the moon in Sag usually gives us, because now we're starting to speak fears and doubts into the greater, grander vision and goal and inspiration that we just had. The moon, still in Sag energy, is going to sextile, which is going to save us, with Mercury, who is in the final degrees of Libran energy. What we're doing here is we're saying, okay, before I spiral out of control, before I overthink myself into a dark, dark hole, I'm going to pause and I'm going to rebalance the scales. We have the moon, which is our heart space, our intuition, our emotions. We have Mercury, which is a mental plane, our ideas, our thoughts, our ability to communicate and express those ideas and thoughts. We have our heart and our head working together here. Mercury over in Libra is like, okay, let's not go to extremes, because that's what the moon in Sag does, is we over exaggerate, we over dramatize, we over commit, we over embellish. We just are a little bit extra in that Sagittarian energy. Mercury is like, hold up. Okay, let's get a grip here. Let's reel it back. Instead of just ripping yourselves down and just overdoing it here, let's balance out our thoughts here. What has actually changed? What do we know to be true? What do we know that we need to move away from? What do we know we need to move closer to? How can we balance our thoughts, and how can we manage our emotions so that we're not going from one extreme to the next? Now, this is going to help us out because it means that we're coming back down to reality. Again, we're preparing to make this shift here. We're coming back down to reality. We're recognizing where it is that we got a little bit carried away with our emotions, where it is that we're getting a little bit carried away with our mental plane, talking that negative talk. And we are kind of calling ourselves out right now in order to say, hey, let's just take a minute. Let's look at the pros and cons. Let's look at where it is that we're allowing ourselves to live in extremes, and let's reel ourselves back to the middle grounded point so that we can see both sides of the coin. This is working for us. Now at 9:10, the minute before the moon goes void of course, we have the moon in Sagittarius entering into the boxing ring, squaring with Jupiter. Jupiter rules over Sagittarius. So it's never fun when we are encountering the ruler of the energy that the moon is currently in, especially when it's a negative aspect. We get an extra oomph of the energies when we interact with the ruler of the energy that the moon is in. This is a negative aspect. This is a square. This is a tension point. This is a conflict, which means that we have a huge amount of learning to do. Every single time we find ourselves in a conflicting point of our beliefs, of our emotions, of our thoughts, and it's an opportunity to see where it is that change is needed the most. So we have Jupiter, who is showing us where it is that we need to kind of grow in our lives, what it is we need to improve in our lives, what it is that we need to open up our minds to and expand our heart space and our minds to the new possibilities of the future. We are looking at our belief system. We are looking at what it is that we want more of. And because Jupiter is now in Pisces, we are looking at things from a spiritual soul level. Okay. So we have a lot of growth to do in recognizing the spiritual life lessons that were just thrown at us. We have a lot of growth to do in developing a spiritual practice back in our life so that we can remain as balanced as possible. We are looking to expand our empathy, our compassion, our understanding, our perspective on things that have really kind of rocked us. And we are looking at really kind of running through and transforming our beliefs on what it is that we actually believe is possible, what we actually believe we deserve, what we actually want more of in life, and what it is that's preventing us in our inner realm from actually aligning with believing that that is possible for us. So this is about recognizing the limitations of our belief system in ourselves and in the greater, grander plan. This is also recognizing where it is that we haven't opened the door enough, opened it wide enough to the magic of the cosmos. We have to understand that Pisces energy is everything that is not tangible. It's everything out in the metaverse. It is everything that cannot be explained by science and by physics. That's magic, my friends. That is soul contracts. That is spirituality. That is intuition. That is dreams. That is vision. That is inspiration. It's everything that we can't make sense of from a scientific standpoint. And what we're getting here is recognizing that the conflict that we're currently having right now, what needs to change the most is our perspective, our understanding, and our belief system. That is what is stopping us from actually pursuing the new passions, the new dreams, the new path, the new direction that we are currently trying to hype ourselves up and prepare ourselves to jump into. So Venus goes ahead, makes a very awkward interaction with Neptune. Neptune is the higher octave of Venus. So this interaction means that I'm going to say we are too stuck on the details of our physical lives in order for us to realize what is possible for us outside of the details that our current lives are dictating. So Venus is all about worth and value. She's all about relationships. She's all about money matters. She's in Scorpio energy. So everything is extreme. Everything is passionate. Everything is intense. We desire a soul merging connection with the people that is worthy of our time, our energy, our effort. She's also in Scorpio to peel back the layers of her shadow self that is blocking her unconsciously from actually being in a healthy state of a relationship with herself, with other people, and in a situation where she's receiving the kind of financial abundance that she desires and that she deserves. And Neptune is our higher selves. It's our intuition. It's our spiritual selves. This is an awkward interaction between the two, which means that we're not able to align with our intuition. We're not able to open our heart space up to the possibilities of the magic of the cosmos, of the future. It's almost like we don't even understand that soul contracts, that karmic partners, that spiritual life lessons even exist in this particular energy. And therefore, we are so blinded by the here and now, by our physical circumstances, by the details of it, that we can't see the forest past the trees. We are literally believing in the here and now that this situation is dictating what is possible for us, not opening up our heart space, not opening up our intuition, not opening up our mind space, that there's anything other than what I'm getting right now that is even possible for me. This is a little bit of a Debbie Downer, not going to lie. We are feeling so much and feeling so much that is not good, that there is this want, need, and desire to kind of numb, to disassociate from life altogether. We are having a hard time really defining what it is that we want, need, and desire. We can't align with our intuition at this point, so we're kind of left walking blind, and it doesn't feel good. We tend to get a little bit edgy, a little bit paranoid when we have a blindfold on because we don't know what's going on around us. And because there's so much going on within us, it's a little bit overwhelming. It's a little bit paralyzing, if I do say so myself. The moon goes ahead, goes void for 11 minutes, locks into Capricorn energy, 9:22. This is where we're feeling the shift. 100%. You're going to be feeling lower and slower. You're going to be feeling a little bit more negative in your narrative, negative in your vibes. We just seen that with Venus. And then the first aspect that the moon in Capricorn makes is a very awkward interaction with Uranus. Let me just tell you, this is where negative Nancy, Betty the bully, comes out to play. This is where we can't see anything other than our to-do list in the here and now. The Uranian energy wants us to think about our future. The Capricorn energy says, nuh-uh, can't waste time thinking about the future right now. Too much on my to-do list to clean up in the here and now. Have to deal with the roles and responsibilities in the here and now before I can even tempt myself to think about the future. So what do we get? We get a block. What do we get? We get confused. What do we get? We get a little bit of a cluster F going on in our emotions. Why? Because the negativity is taking a little bit of a toll on us. We are feeling the weight of the world of our roles and responsibilities so freaking heavy. And here's the thing, Uranian energy wants us to open up our minds, wants us to be open to change, wants us to accept the unexpected so freaking easily that's how we're supposed to change and transform. We are in Scorpio season, by the way, so that is the name of the game. But right now, we are in a cluster F of not knowing left from right, up from down. We are kind of having tunnel vision on our to-do list on what it is that we have to clean up in the here and now before we can even think about the future. It's not a good vibe, not a good feeling. Mercury goes ahead. This is the last aspect that Mercury is going to make before diving into Scorpio energy. So this one's going to be intense. We also have to consider the fact that this isn't the best interaction. So this is applying a little bit of conflict, a little bit of tension. And we have to consider the fact that it is an aspect with Jupiter, who likes to turn the volume all the way up, magnify and intensify whatever it is that we're thinking and feeling. Now, if this was a positive energy, this would be a window of opportunity for us to have some pretty big ideas, some pretty genius points, some pretty good energies of optimism and confidence for us to go ahead and actually pursue our vision, pursue our dreams. But this is not a positive aspect. Instead, we are going to feel like there's too much on our plate, too much on our heads, too much to choose from, too much to decide, where we don't know what it is that we're doing. We don't know how it is that we think. We don't know how it is that we feel. This is intense. We're at the 29th degree of Libra. Nothing makes sense. The scales are not in balance right now. They are extreme. And again, Jupiter likes to magnify whatever is extreme. And we also have to consider the fact that Jupiter is retrograde in Pisces energy. And the minute that we get overwhelmed and overstimulated, because we're super, super sensitive in Pisces energy, we shut down. We want to numb. Everything is too much for us. Everything is just too big of a deal for us right now. And we crumble under the pressure. Again, crumbling under the pressure, very much the vibe that we're getting from the moon in Capricorn as well. So this is intensified all that much more. At 3:22 p.m., we have Mercury move into Scorpio energy. Please go ahead, listen to that astro forecast where I can go into a little bit more depth on what it is that we can expect for the next couple of weeks of Mercury being in the deep, dark waters of Scorpio energy. But it is a shift. You will be feeling it in your mental plane. Things are going to get heavier. They're going to get weighted. They're going to get deep, dark, probing, analytical. We are looking for the truth. We are looking to kind of, dabble in the deeper, darker topics in life. So we feel that energy shift. And then shortly after, literally 4 minutes after, the moon goes ahead and semi-squares Saturn. Saturn rules over Capricorn energy, and a semi-square is a little bit of a tension point. This is where we feel the urgency to get our asses in gear. This is where we feel the intensity of our roles, our responsibilities, our commitments, our obligations weighing so freaking heavy on our shoulders that we feel like we're going to snap. We feel like we're going to crack. Does it feel good? No. What are we supposed to learn of it? Well, just keep in mind that when the moon is in Capricorn, it's supposed to illuminate to us where it is that we feel blocked, where it is we feel held back, where it is that we feel trapped and restricted in life, because when the moon moves into Aquarius, that frees us, liberates us from some of the restrictions and confines that we would have identified when the Capricorn energy was alive and well. And right now, we are being illuminated to all the things that we feel trapped in and trapped under, especially when it comes to the roles and responsibilities in our life that we feel like we've outgrown, but yet they haven't ended yet. So we're looking to wrap them up in the here and now so that we can move on and we can start pursuing the path, the building, if you will, of the new foundation of the future. The moon is going to go ahead and sextile the sun and then sextile Venus. As you know, the sun and Venus, both in Scorpio energy, moving together throughout the cosmos, very, very closely together. Capricorn energy, Scorpio energy work so freaking good together. Why? Because Capricorn energy is the general foreman of the zodiac, where we get things done, where we manifest, where we bring things to life, where we actually see the productivity of our energy and efforts in the here and now. And Scorpio energy is very deep, very analytical. It illuminates us to long-term passion, long-term desires. It also, Capricorn and Scorpio energy also have existential dread in common, and we get off on that. That's a good thing for us because there's not too many energies out there that make us feel human or good for always thinking negatively, always thinking badly, always feeling that roles, those responsibilities weigh very heavily on our shoulders. So this is a sextile. This is a beautiful energy. The moon and the sun come together, blend their energies together. And what do we get? We get a moment of inspiration, an aha moment in the here and now, recognizing what it is that we have to clean up from the past in order to clear the way to build new aspects in our future. The sun in Scorpio is shining a bright light on what needs to change, what needs to transform in our life. Capricorn energy is ready to boss up, to take the sledgehammer and crack through the foundations that are weak, that are unstable, that are preventing us from actually moving forward so that we can get to building brand new ones to bridge the gap from where it is that we're at to where it is that we desire to be. The moon sextiling Venus is our last aspect of the day. Of course, Venus in the Scorpio energy as well, very connected on building new sense of worth, new value, new relationships, new money matters. Capricorn is down with that energy, especially the money matters part. And we have a true duty, a true sense of role and responsibility karmically being put on us right now to be the creator, the designer, the writer, the producer, the star of our own movies. Emotionally speaking, we are realizing where it is that we need to boss up, where it is that we have to kind of build a better foundation of self-worth, self-value within ourselves in order to attract the right kinds of people, in order to meet us halfway so that we can act as a partnership instead of having an unbalanced power exchange in our personal relationships. And when it comes to money matters, you best believe that we are doing the deep dive into our deepest, darkest desires on what it is that we actually want to see and manifest for ourselves, where money matters and resources are concerned. Venus, of course, wants to think long term. Capricorn energy is all about it, as long as we don't have too much of a to-do list to clean up in the here and now. And in the relationship front, I feel like relationships have kind of sorted themselves out while Venus was in Libran energy. And now that Venus is in Scorpio energy, we are definitely trying to see what needs to die, who needs to go, in order for there to be a clean slate, a brand new energy to invite new like-minded people into our lives to help us build to a common goal.